Parabel, wisdom waits for those who listen. You are boiling right at this moment. While you hear my voice, your life is evaporating, degree by degree, minute by minute, and you didn't even notice when the water started to heat up. How long have you been there?
Old Sage, I didn't hear you arrive.
It doesn't surprise me. You are so absorbed in that screen, you wouldn't notice a storm coming.
I'm just resting. It's been a long day. I deserve a moment to myself.
Resting? Tell me, young one, how long have you been resting today?
I don't know, maybe an hour, maybe 2?
3 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay, 3 hours then. So what? I worked today. I was tired. I need to recharge my energy before starting what really matters.
Before what exactly?
Before doing what I need to do. The project, the emails, working out, calling that person.
You've had the same list for 3 weeks.
Because I am tired, Old Sage. I wake up tired, I work tired, I come back tired. I just want a moment of peace before dealing with all of this.
Look at me. Tell the truth. Do you feel rested now? After 3 hours and 40 minutes of peace?
No, I feel worse, heavier, more guilty.
And yesterday? Did you rest yesterday too?
Yes.
Did you feel better?
No.
You aren't resting, kid. You are rotting. And worse, you are boiling alive without realizing it.
Boiling? What are you talking about?
Let me tell you a story about a frog I knew a long time ago. He had everything: freedom, strength, purpose, and he threw it all away, one comfortable choice at a time. In the northern mountains, where the air is thin and the ice never completely melts, there was a pond fed by glacial springs. The water there was so pure you could see to the bottom, where the stones shone like jewels. In that pond lived a frog, emerald green, defined muscles, alert eyes. He was magnificent. Every day he hunted, jumped from stone to stone, dove deep. His life was hard, cold, but he was vibrant.
Old Sage, I've heard this story before. It's about the frog that boils slowly and doesn't notice, right?
You heard a version, but hearing is not understanding. Let me continue and pay attention to the details no one told you. One day, at the end of summer, the frog was hunting near the shore. That was when he saw a pot, large, made of black iron, abandoned by some traveler. The pot had rolled to the water's edge, and because of the recent rains, had filled up. The frog approached, curious. He hopped onto the rim and looked inside. The water there was different, lukewarm, gently warmed by the sun hitting the black iron all day long. There was no current. There was no movement, just stillness.
But why would he go in? The pond was better.
Why do you stay in that chair when you know you should be working? Because in the moment, it seems easier. The frog thought, I'll stay just for a moment, just to rest. The pond is too demanding. The current pulls at me. Predators hunt me. I have to be alert always. Here I can finally relax. And he relaxed. For the first time in a long time, his muscles completely loosened. He didn't need to swim against the current. He didn't need to stay alert. He could just exist. The sun went down, night came, and the frog thought, tomorrow I'll go back to the pond. Tomorrow I'll go back to hunting. Just one more night here. But when the sun rose again, the frog was still there, and something had changed. The water was a little warmer, Not much, just a degree, maybe two. The iron had absorbed the sun's heat during the entire previous day and now released that heat into the water slowly.
And he didn't notice?
He noticed he was comfortable, and that was enough for him to stay. Days passed, and every day the sun heated the iron, and the iron heated the water, and every day the temperature rose, but never all at once, always gradual, always imperceptible. In the first week, the frog thought, I'm recovering, I'm recharging. In the second week, just a few more days. In the third, soon I'll go back. By the second month, he stopped thinking about going back. He didn't realize it, but his muscles were atrophying. His agility was vanishing. His will was dying. The water was hot now, hot enough to be uncomfortable, but he had gotten used to it. He had adapted to the rising heat.
Old Sage, what happened to him?
A day came, a particularly hot summer day, when the sun beat down on the iron harder than ever. The water began to boil, and finally, the frog realized he was in mortal danger. He tried to jump. He tried to stand up. But his muscles that once could have launched him 3 times his height, didn't respond. They were too weak, too atrophied. He spent so much time in the warmed water, so much time in comfort, that he lost the very ability to escape.
Old Sage, did he die?
Worse than that. He died knowing he could have jumped. At any moment in the last few months, he could have simply jumped. But he chose not to. One day at a time, one comfortable decision at a time. And when he finally wanted to get out, it was too late.
That's just a story, right? Just a metaphor?
You know it isn't. You are the frog. And this is your pot.
No, this is different. I'm not in danger. I'm just waiting for the right moment to start.
Waiting? How long have you been waiting? How long have you been saying, I'll start tomorrow? How long have you been promising yourself that next week will be different?
I don't know, a few months?
2 years. 2 years ago, you told me you were going to write that book. A year and a half ago, you were going to start that business. 8 months ago, you were going to get back to training seriously. 3 months ago, you were going to win that person back.
But I was tired. I was out of energy. I needed to rest before having the strength to act.
You didn't understand the lesson of the frog. The tiredness you feel isn't from doing too much. It's from doing too little. You aren't exhausted from effort. You are exhausted from stagnation.
That doesn't make sense.
It makes perfect sense. Let me explain how the pot works in real life. It doesn't heat up all at once. It gets you with small betrayals, micro decisions that seem insignificant in the moment. The alarm rings at 6 a.m. You think, just 5 more minutes. Temperature rises 1 degree. You wake up at 7:30, late, rushing, skip breakfast. Another degree. At work, you avoid that difficult task. I'll do it after lunch. Another degree. After lunch, you scroll through your feed for just 5 minutes. 40 minutes go by. 3 more degrees. You come home exhausted, not from productivity, but from guilt. 2 more degrees. You promise, tomorrow I'll wake up early and train. But you already promised that yesterday, and the day before, and last week. 5 more degrees. And so, Degree by degree, day after day, you adapt. The body gets used to lethargy. The mind gets used to procrastination. The soul gets used to mediocrity. And do you know what the cruelest part of all this is? The pot doesn't kill you all at once. It keeps you alive. Alive enough to see others thriving while you sink. Alive enough to feel every day of wasted potential. Alive enough to wake up in panic at 3 a.m., cold sweating, realizing that another year has passed and you are still in the same place.
I know exactly what you were talking about.
I know you know. Everyone knows. But knowing and acting are different things. Tell me one thing, with total honesty. When was the last time you did something difficult? Something that required real discomfort? Something that made you sweat? Something that scared you?
I can't remember.
Exactly. And do you know what happens to muscles that aren't used? They atrophy. And do you know what happens to courage that isn't exercised, to discipline that isn't practiced, to will that isn't tested?
They die.
They die. And when you finally realize you need them, when the water really starts to boil, when life puts you in a situation that demands strength, there are no muscles left to jump. But you aren't dead yet.
How do you know? Maybe it's too late. Maybe I've stayed in the pot too long. Maybe my muscles are already too weak to take me anywhere.
Feel that? Your heart. As long as it beats, you can jump. But every second you stay in that chair waiting for perfect motivation, the water gets hotter and your muscles get weaker. So tell me now, in this moment, are you going to stay in the pot or are you going to jump?
I want to jump, but old sage, I'm afraid.
Afraid of what?
Afraid of trying and failing. Afraid of not being strong enough. Afraid of discovering that I wasted all this time for nothing.
That fear is real, and it should be paralyzing you. But I'm going to tell you a secret no one else will say. You don't need a perfect jump. You don't need to become an Olympic athlete tomorrow. You don't need to resolve your whole life in one heroic decision. You need to move, now. Any movement. It doesn't matter how small. It doesn't matter how clumsy. Because any movement is better than boiling alive. Tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings, you won't think. You won't negotiate with yourself. You're just going to get up. 3 seconds. You count to 3 and get up. It doesn't matter how you feel. That task you've been avoiding for weeks, you open the file. Write one word, one line, anything. Because one line breaks the pattern of 0 lines. That difficult conversation, you schedule it. You don't have to have the conversation today, but schedule it. Because scheduling is action.
Thank you for reminding me.
And you, yes, you there. You who pause the video 3 times to check notifications. You watching this lying in bed when you should be doing something else. You who feel exactly what the seeker feels. Do you feel the water heating up? Of course you do. You feel it in the weight on your chest when you wake up, in the guilt that follows you all day, in the anxiety that keeps you awake at night. That isn't depression. That isn't burnout syndrome. That is your body begging you to move. You know exactly what your pot is. You know what jump you need to take. It might be small. It probably is small. But it needs to be today, not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Today. Because if you wait until you're ready, you'll wait until the water boils. then you'll try to jump and discover you have no strength left. So choose now, not after this video, not after you think about it. Now, are you the frog that boils or the water that evaporates into action? If you've decided to get out of the pot, if you're going to take the first jump no matter how small, leave your commitment in the comments. Not a vague promise, a specific action. Right, I will, and complete it with what you're going to do in the next 24 hours. And if you can't even write the comment, if even that seems too difficult, then you already know the answer. The water is already boiling, and you need help to jump